Hi, here at TV Trade we've decided to add this informational video onto our website now that we finally have a date for the Analogue switch off, which is happening on the 24th of October 2012. Okay, now it's been cleverly coincided with the digital switch off, or with the Analogue switch off in the north of Ireland as well. Okay, so that's why that particular date was chosen. So the first thing is, what does it mean? Well, it means that the Analogue system, which is used traditionally in Ireland to broadcast the four Irish channels, RT1, 2, TV3 and TG4, will cease to broadcast from that date. And as part of a wider switch off of all analogue TV signals right across the European Union, which must happen by the 31st of December 2012. Okay? So who will be affected? Well, basically anybody who currently receives the four Irish channels via an aerial will be affected by this. People who receive their television via UPC or Sky, won't be affected in terms of their service will remain there, but it still is relevant for them because, it's a huge advantage to be able to get 8 Irish digital channels for free for a once-off payment in additional rooms in your house. So there's a lot of interest in this project, and for me anyway, it's very much a good news story because it's adding additional choices. It's giving people the option to go for a once-off payment, and the product itself, in terms of transmission quality and things like this, it's superb, particularly on RT2, which has been broadcast in high definition, and from a sporting fan's perspective, it's really quite wonderful. So what do we need? Will we need to change the aerial on our roof? Well, most people traditionally will have either a VHF and UHF system together, or purely a UHF system on the roof. So the big test to say is, do I need to get a new aerial on my roof? If TV3 is currently giving you crystal clear reception, then in all likelihood you will not need to buy a new aerial. So moving inside into the house then, if you have one of these SareView ready TVs or an MPEG-4 TV, once again you won't need to upgrade your television. The reality is now that SareView signal has been broadcasting now for a number of months right across the country, so that anybody who has a television that would be able to pick it up probably at this point will probably discover that. If your television was bought after June of 2010, most likely your television will be SareView compatible, and if it's prior to that date, most likely you'll have one of two options of how to deal with the changeover. The first one is to buy a new television, which is a relatively expensive option, and the other one is to buy a set-top box, which will allow you to feed the aerial or signal from your aerial and have a set-top box to handle the SareView signal, and then connect it either with a SCART lead, which we see here, or a HDMI lead directly into your television. Okay? Now, all the boxes I'm going to show you in front of here have both a SCART and a HDMI output. So I'm picking these three products because they really cover the price range and the basic options that you're faced with. The first option you have is to go for the lowest cost option, which is just basically an MPEG-4 high definition box. The advantage of this is it's the cheapest box you can buy. The big disadvantage of it is it will not give you digital teletext. Okay? The sort of in-between option here, which is slightly more expensive but still a relatively low-cost product, would be to go for a box that is a generic box. So it has MPEG-4 high definition, but vitally importantly it has MPEG-5, which means that it can operate the digital teletext, and also will say it's certain amount of future-proofing because in the future we know that there's planned interactive services which will be using the MPEG-5 layer. And then the final thing is to go for an actually fully approved SareView box, such as this box we have in front of us here. The disadvantage of this is that, or the big advantage of it is, for certain it's fully compliant. The disadvantage of the SareView approval process is an extremely expensive one, and it just adds a cost onto the box. So it's just really down to the customers to decide which box will suit their purposes best. If we just look quickly at a set-top box here, we can just see on the back of the box here, what we have is, we have an RF in here, which will be where you have your traditional aerial feeding back into the back of your television. You can feed it directly in here, and then you can connect the television to, we'll say, your TV, either with a HDMI lead from this port, and this is the HDMI lead here, or a SCART lead, which is this one here, okay? The advantage of using the HDMI lead is that you can actually receive the HD transmissions on RT2. The SCART lead is a good option because a lot of televisions don't have a HDMI input. All of the boxes here inside have a thing called a downscaling option, so it can actually reduce a HD transmission down to standard definition. So standard definition TVs can view the picture, but obviously not have the full HD picture on it, okay? So another good feature about these boxes is all the boxes in the range, they all have PVR ready facilities. So it means that you can add on things like hard drives to allow you to record television, and also most of them come with quite good media players, which allows you to play AVI and MKV movies and things like that. So that's quite a good feature as well. So hopefully anyway you'll find this presentation somewhat useful, and it'll get you ready for the Analogue switch off, which is happening on the 24th of October 2012.